On January 28th, 2021, at 7:43 p.m., a friend of mine opened up a Minecraft server for my friends and I to use. It was designed to only last a short while, and I never expected it to be active longer than a month. What I didn't know was that the server would soon expand into a long and treacherous journey, plagued with backstabbing and rocky alliances. Those of you watching this may not know the truth behind most of the events of the server. Some of you may not have even heard of it. Regardless, this server became one known for two things: factions and betrayal. This is the story of the organization.
Everything you know has been a lie.
Four years ago, back during the 2020 pandemic, Swan, Austin, and I made a world on Minecraft Xbox One Edition. We each based separately and fought over the limited resources on the map. Eventually, Swan and I teamed up due to a trade deal, and the world became a battle for supremacy. Austin versus us. Swan and I quickly built up our empire. We rushed to acquire fully enchanted gear before Austin, all while living in a small clearing with no real house. We fought the Ender Dragon, gathered elytras, killed a wither, and cleared an entire mountain to begin building a huge castle to live in. Austin took over a plains village to the west of us, slaughtering the villagers and taking over their crops. He spent as much time as he could mining, gaining ridiculous amounts of diamonds and gold. He built a giant box near his base so he could constantly fight mobs in order to grind for their drops. He eventually amassed a ton of wealth and resources. Wealth and resources we desperately wanted. While Austin possessed a lot of wealth, he was still at a constant risk of falling behind. Two people are just better than one. We tried adding a fourth person to the world multiple times, but each one ended up leaving Austin all alone. With no other choice, Austin had to try and win one of us over. He had to make a traitor. Austin and I were much closer than Swan and Austin were, given that we grew up together. That, and the fact that Swan was sort of the de facto leader of our team, meant I was the much better target for Austin. He messaged me, offering to give me gunpowder and fireworks if I gave him information about Swan's plans, with the ultimate agreement being that when the time came, I would fight Swan alongside Austin. Austin thought he had created the perfect plan, the ultimate downfall to Swan and I's empire. All he did was dig his own grave. Unlike some other incompetent teammates, I can sense an opportunity when I see it. All Austin did was give us an opportunity to milk him dry of all of his resources. I immediately went to Swan, showing them the messages Austin sent me, and presenting them with my plan. Instead of denying Austin's offer, I would accept it and feed him fake information. We'd get the best of both worlds. Not only would we get a bunch of free resources, but we'd also get to absolutely destroy any information advantage Austin could have ever dreamed of. With this plan, we would dominate Austin. Swan loved the idea, and we began to get to work. While they focused on constructing our castle and its defenses, I would feed Austin a train of lies. Swan would ask me to go into the desert to collect husks, and I would tell Austin that I was collecting cactus. Swan would tell me to collect dragon's breath for potion traps, and I would tell Austin I was getting chorus fruit. We went on and on with this, draining him of everything he had, and when it came time for him to make big purchases for mending books or notch apples, he ran dry of diamonds. He tried to lie and say he had the money, looking for excuses to defend his pride, but we knew he was lying. He ended up falling into debt when Swan made an impossible deal to him, and he spent so much time mining for diamonds that he had no time to prepare to fight us. When we eventually moved on from the world, Swan and I had amassed over 7 stacks of diamond blocks, all taken from Austin through predatory trade deals and giving him fake info. We destroyed any chance he ever had of having an advantage, crushing his pride. All it took was using a little bit of planning when presented with a golden opportunity. All it took was not becoming a traitor.
I have been betrayed only once. From that day onward, I made sure I would never be betrayed again. On February 15th, 2021, Evan betrayed my trust and everything we had built in order to switch sides to a barely functioning pushover. He could have used this opportunity to crush Evan's stepdad, but he didn't. Instead, he made the foolish decision to betray me, to throw away the trust and partnership we had created. So I left. I took the resources that I gathered for us and made a small bunker near Simp City to store my items. I made a new enchant table and began growing my own netherwort. I lived off the land for a while, stealing resources from Simp City's farms and using my horse to move around the map and stay unpredictable. I spent more time interacting with the Simp City citizens than I did with Evan. Evan tried to win me back a few times, but each time I was reminded how he betrayed me without a second thought, going against everything that I stood for. While it was formerly part of Land Park, I could care less about it now. Our vision for it would be forever tarnished. I began making efforts to secure what little assets Evan had left us with. After the refuge was raided, I quickly moved all of our villagers to an undisclosed location in the middle of a desert, where Evan could never find them. I would use them to gain a huge monopoly over mending, extorting even Evan for the precious enchantment. When Evan got on the next day, I told him that it seemed like the villagers just walked out into the nether, left to die there. I played it off as me probably accidentally leaving their door open, feigning incompetence to distract him. I also finally managed to convince Dominic to join. I originally wanted him to join Evan and I in Lamb Park, but decided it would be best for him to act separately from me for now. If he and I weren't explicitly aligned, then maybe he could bring the SimCity citizens into trusting him, and get some extra information out of them. While he didn't get any information, he did manage to steal a lot of their stuff right under their nose, and easily blame it on other players like Evan and Dante Best. By the time the server came back after Evan's identity was stolen, I was fully removed from Lamb Park. I only ever went over there to steal from Evan's resources. Life as a nomad was peaceful. No more Evan, no more stepdad. Just me, my horse, and my double chest of leather from all the cows I killed. Life was simple. That was, until Evan came to me with his proposal, and the spark of ambition came back to me. I began rapidly constructing the Colosseum, and as summer came around, I found myself building while in VC with the other members of the server. The night got late, and I found myself talking with just Izzy and Charlie. While joking around, I offhandedly mentioned that it would be funny if I had evil henchmen to do my bidding in the server. What I didn't know was that joke would spark something greater. Something that would completely turn the tides against Evan. This little joke would spark the beginning of the organization.
It was pretty clear to everyone that Swan and Evan's alliance had broken up. Well, pretty clear to everyone besides Evan. Swan may have formerly been part of Land Park, but they clearly weren't directly involved anymore. Without Swan, Land Park just wasn't a threat to SimCity anymore. And if Swan was allied with SimCity, we would be the only real superpower in the server. Izzy got to thinking after Swan mentioned their henchman idea. If we could become their henchmen, then Swan would automatically be aligned with SimCity. Sure, Izzy and I would be under their command, but they did say we'd be paid for any evil acts we did. So it was really a win-win overall. A couple days later, Izzy and I made the 5:58 a.m. book, which we wrote at 5:58 a.m. Hey, hench leader, it's us, your hench people. We decided on the term hench people as men was sexist, and we are not both women. We are excited to work for you, so get those contracts done so we can sign them without reading them. Remember, we are secret, and you cannot tell anyone. You can tell people you have henchmen, just don't tell him who it is. It's us! We are the hench people! We also have a secret chicken hole. It was going to not be secret, but then we decided we could use some practice at keeping secrets if we wanted to be your secret hench people. Meet us somewhere at some time alone, and we will tell you with the chicken lie. We don't want this book to fall into the wrong hands. If you need eggs, we have plenty. P.S. We have a code word for chickens. We will tell you at time alone. / XOXO Gossip Girl. We then buried it in a random location in the forest, resulting in the very sad and not funny at all death of Izzy's horse, and sent the coordinates over to Swan.
After reading the 5:58 AM book, I realized just how amazing of an opportunity this was. If I could command Simp City's 2 leading players, I would be unmatched in combat power and information. If I could get their trust, I would be unstoppable. I quickly got to work on a contract for them both to sign, which would outline the terms and conditions of our agreement. I finished it 6 days later on February 10th, and gave it to Izzy and Charlie to sign. The first clause outlined what would happen if either of them went against the terms of the contract. Doing so would prompt me to ruthlessly hunt them down and take all their items. While very extreme, it would assure that they would stay in line. The second clause cemented my authority over them as their hench leader. They were to follow any orders I gave them, although they still retained the right to question orders or plans I had, provided we weren't in a desperate situation. The third clause outlined what kind of jobs my hench people were to be performing, including stuff like murder, theft, and espionage. I also stated they would be paid for any job they were assigned, and occasionally be provided with specific items to complete their jobs. The fourth clause was the non-compete clause, which was made to prevent the hench people from being employed by anyone else to do similar tasks without my permission. The fifth clause was a non-disclosure agreement, basically saying that they weren't allowed to talk about any of the tasks they were assigned or any secrets I would tell them to other people. The sixth and final clause made it known that the hench people were to be considered expendable for any of the tasks they were paid to do, and that they were to sacrifice their lives for me in the event that I would be in serious danger. I first got Izzy to sign it, and then got Charlie to sign it a few days later. This contract was the perfect way to lock them into an alliance with me. While not exactly legally binding, the threat of me hunting them down was more than enough to keep them in line. On top of that, them signing it meant they fully consented to following the terms, as well as anything I would do to them if they betrayed me. As my first order as hench leader, I ordered Izzy and Charlie to keep a lookout around the Colosseum and protect it from any thefts, specifically from Dante Best. Additionally, if they were to see Dante Best at any point, they were to kill him. I also decided to make Dominic an entire set of netherite gear, as his job made him too busy to properly get it himself. We decided to tell everyone that he got it by himself, though. On July 20th, I decided to add in some redstone components to the Colosseum. I wanted to replace the iron doors into the arena with some portcullis-styled piston doors. However, when I dug down to begin building them, I found this. Evan had made the foolish decision to place TNT under the Colosseum before I had finished construction, and I guess he just didn't think that I would ever dig down 3 blocks anywhere? I had uncovered his plan, and he had no idea. My initial instinct was to confront and kill him, but Dominic, Izzy, and Charlie convinced me otherwise. This could be a perfect opportunity to humiliate Evan. Instead of removing the TNT now, we would pretend like we didn't know it had existed. We'd gathered from Evan's messages that he was definitely planning on doing something big at the actual Colosseum fight, and that it had to be blowing up the TNT. If we waited to remove the TNT until the morning of the fight, Evan and Evan's stepdad would have no idea it was gone, and we would completely destroy their plan. Considering the gravity of our situation, I decided to expand upon the hench people, and create a complete allyship between us, Dominic, and Austin. With all of us combined, we would easily be able to monitor and defeat Evan and Evan's stepdad. I created a secret faction that would shape the future of the server from the shadows. I created the organization. The organization's structure and overall vibes was mainly inspired by the SCP Foundation, a fictional organization portrayed through short horror stories and games online. At the top of the hierarchy was myself, taking the role of the organization's director. I called all the shots, and commanded everyone in the organization. Below me was the O5 Council, consisting of Dominic and Austin. They were to act as my trusted team of advisors, and had authority to give field orders to those below them. They were also expected to be entirely loyal to my goals and keep quiet about any secret plans I had. Finally, making up the grunts of the organization were the hench people. Consisting of Izzy and Charlie, their job was to follow any orders I gave them, and do the organization's dirty work. I also introduced a clearance level for them, starting at 1 and going up to 4. The higher their level, the more information they would gain access to. I also planned to appoint one of them to be the hench leader, who would have authority over the other hench people for logistic purposes. I also created a Discord server for the organization's members to keep everything organized. This consisted of chats for reporting findings to the organization, discussing current missions and orders, and general chatting. It was also used as an archive for the hench contract. The server allowed me to keep secret chats with the O5 Council as well. We'd be able to keep all of our plans and discussions perfectly organized, and outside the prying eyes of the hench people. On July 26th, I launched the organization's first mission, Operation Romulus, our plan to stop Evan's terrorist attack on the Colosseum. After I moved the TNT on the fight day, the hench people would be responsible for keeping track of Evan, and making sure he wasn't left alone at the Colosseum. If he attempted to get to the TNT room at any point, the hench people would signal to Dominic to stop the fight, and they would then collectively stab him to death. I also decided to have Izzy and Charlie masquerade as security guards during the fight, which would allow them to naturally perform their henchperson duties without looking suspicious. So long as everything went according to plan, we would be victorious. Evan would be stopped, and I would win the stepdad war. The organization's structure allowed for me to keep secrets among my more trusted allies, all acting like everyone was working towards the same goal. For granted, taking down Evan would be beneficial for all of us, but I wanted him gone for very different reasons than Simp City did. You see, I don't play Minecraft with the same goal as most other players. While others will slave over their farms, focus on the intricate details of their pretty houses, or pointlessly fight their chosen enemies, I play this game to win. I play in order to secure power over a server, to control its resources and dominate its residents. So long as Evan and Simp City continue to exist, I wouldn't be able to secure true power. I can't win if a server has 3 superpowers. If I wanted to achieve my goals, both would have to go. With Simp City's leaders at my side, I would crush Evan into submission. And once he was gone, I would turn my attention to destroying Simp City, and the idiots who thought they could use me for protection. But before I could do any of that, I had a fight to win. On August 1st, I found a hidden chest while searching around in the TNT room. Inside were some used diamond tools, as well as a couple books. The Lamb Park Bible and the Stepdad book. I'd fully believed Evan betrayed me for a while now. Everything involving the raid of the refuge was dripping with suspicion, but now I knew for sure that he had betrayed me. The only way Evan's stepdad would be able to get enough TNT for the room is if Evan gave it to him. And the only reason the Stepdad book and the Lamb Park Bible would be together is if Evan and Evan's stepdad were working together. I nabbed the books and replaced them with identical copies with different text, putting Evan's prized possession right into my hands. On the 7th, I had a conversation about the fight with Evan's stepdad, where he said the fight was going to be explosive. God, he's so fucking stupid. On the morning of the 8th, I mobilized the hench people and Dominic to keep any non-organization personnel out of the Colosseum while I disarmed the TNT, taking it all for myself and filling the room with cobblestone. I also destroyed the bed down there for the hell of it. At 5:30 p.m., we opened the Colosseum to the public, and people poured inside. Watching over everyone was easy enough, and Izzy made sure to keep a direct eye on Evan at all times. Eventually, Evan's stepdad arrived, and after the door incident and him noticeably not setting his spawn, the first fight began. I struck him down in less than a minute, but to his dismay, he didn't spawn in the TNT room. He spawned back at Simp City. We had the second fight, which once again resulted in my victory, but after I was declared the victor in our war, Evan and Evan's stepdad began running around the unused interior of the Colosseum, searching for the TNT room, but all they found were blocked up rooms and tunnels. We eventually got them to leave, but only after they had tunneled everywhere and Dominic had killed Evan's stepdad an untold number of times. We had done it. We had successfully prevented Evan from getting his detonation, and halted his plan in its tracks. He wouldn't get to have his dramatic moment. He wouldn't get anything. We figured Lamb Park would be curious about who exactly disarmed the TNT and ruined their plans, so Dominic decided he would claim to be the one who did it. Dom would confront Evan about the TNT, and Dominic would say he removed the TNT and took all the books. all without telling me in order to not escalate things. Dominic confronted Evan on August 10th, claiming that he had found the TNT by sheer coincidence, and accused Evan of being allied with Evan's stepdad the whole time.
So I was outside the Coliseum, and I find some granite in this grass mountain, and I go into there, and I find a redstone trail with some beautiful TNT surrounding the bottom of it. And I didn't know who it was at the time, until later, while digging around to look for chests to see if there's potentially more TNT to be placed by the culprit. I discovered a chest with 2 books in it.
Oh?
I found the Lamb Park Bible, which all I know is it's a very important book.
Yeah, it is.
And the Evan's stepdad book. And I know those are 2 books that would be in your possession. So then I was like, alright, this could be Evan. And then you discuss about your whole villain reveal that you were planning on doing, and how you're gonna have an explosive entrance or something along those lines. Which led me to 100% believe that it was you that did this. Is this true?
No, not at all. It was completely Evan's stepdad.
I'm not exactly sure that's Evan's stepdad. Because I have never seen him on the server the entirety of time leading up to this battle. And I'm just not... Why would Evan's stepdad be in possession of the Lamb Park Bible that is yours?
So, a few months ago he raided Lamb Park, and he took the Bible and replaced it with the stepdad Bible. And then I traded the stepdad Bible to get resources. And then we left it at that. And then he kept telling me he had this huge plan. And then after the fight, I was like, was that all you were planning on doing? And he's like, wait. I want to show you something. So he started frantically running around. And he couldn't find it.
The reason why he couldn't exactly find it was because I stayed up very late the night before. When there was the lowest chance of anyone discovering that it was removed, to remove all of the TNT and fill it in. And another thing, so I heard I was there when you were asking for gunpowder.
Oh, yes.
Why would you be in need of gunpowder?
For my big Simp City explosion that I didn't get to perform.
There was a lot of TNT at that Coliseum. And
no, I didn't.
From my interactions with Evan's stepdad, I don't believe that it could have been him acting on his own to get that stuff.
He's been playing for a few months, so he stored everything up for the original.
But I was watching him very carefully.
You were watching him very carefully.
I don't know if you were aware, I was his babysitter after that ended because he was acting mad sus. He gave off 5-year-old on Minecraft Pocket Edition vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe that it could have been him. All I know is all of the things that you've said, and I find 2 of your most sincere belongings that I know that you like very much so.
Yeah.
I could believe... See, my theory is that you're working alongside him. And this is a goal for both of you, for you to get your villain arc, and for him to get a victory over which he knew he wasn't going to be able to get on his own.
So, is literally the one person that I will never turn against, and I don't think you've realized that.
So you insist that you had nothing to do with this? That it was all him?
It was. I promise.
Even with all the evidence against him, Evan still continued to deny his involvement. I would confront Evan on the 22nd alongside Dominic, and we told him we both knew about his plan all along. Izzy had decided to finally tell me about her involvement in the raid of the refuge, confirming my belief that Evan had raided our base and taken the Bible himself. We presented all this to Evan, minus the info Izzy gave us, and I told him I was done being his ally. From then on, I would be my own person. Now that I was finally free from Lamb Park, I could begin to put my plans into place. I would continue to use my henchpeople to disrupt Evan and keep his schemes at bay, while the O5 Council and I would plan our final move to defeat Lamb Park and Simp City, waiting so that when the opportunity presented itself, we could take them out in one fell swoop. And when that day came, it would mark the end of the Coolness Mr. E SMP.